All right. Well, I'm Coach Fuss, and I'm here with Dr. Pazehoski and Allison Podkul. That's known as AP to us, and Dr. Paz, as we like to call her as well. So just wanted to spend a couple minutes explaining a little bit about the interaction of athletics and the classroom and the professors with our students. So thanks for coming today, guys.
Yeah, glad to be here.
All right, Dr. Paz, let's just hit it off with, how do you handle with the athletes in our schedule? Our schedule sometimes conflicts. Clearly on our end, we always make academics first. So if there's a practice, we'll have the student stay in class. But if there's a game, we have to miss a few classes. How do you handle that?
Yeah, I would say, in my field in biology, probably the biggest challenge is the labs. We run into folks having to miss lab for away games. And the great thing about that is, most of our science classes have multiple lab sections. So it's real easy for us to make accommodations there and get a student into another section for that week if need be. But we run some morning labs as well. So we try to kind of filter the athletes into those early in the day labs so that time missed is really minimal for games. But for classes, for lectures, what we do there typically is have the student talk to a friend and get notes from the friend. But of course, they always have access to us as professors as well. And most of us make our materials available on the internet or through the lecture management system. But I always encourage folks to come and see me. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. But usually at some point in the semester, we catch up on what they missed.
And I know she has great relationships with her students, including me. And I just wanted to ask, how do you get those relationships?
Yeah, that's a great question, especially with in your freshman year, you find yourself sometimes in pretty large classes. So, one of the things I do right off the bat is, first of all, to talk a little bit about, who we are in the image of God and how being in that image of God gives us the capacity to study what we study. And I think opening with that is a great way to start some conversations, some curiosity within the students to approach me after class or in my office. And another thing that I try to do is get to know students' names as soon as possible. I remember as a student at Grove City College myself, I am an alum, some of my favorite profs were the ones that got to know my name. And oftentimes it was the ones that I was surprised that they knew my name. They learned it so early. So I try to model myself after that. And then lastly, I just try to make it apparent to the students that I'm there to invest in them. So, that's little things like inviting everybody and anybody to our house for dinners,
right?
But also coming to your games. If you come and play basketball at Grove City, I can almost guarantee you that you're going to see the Pazes, all the Pazes with all the little
Absolutely.
kids up in the bleachers watching your games. Yeah.
Yeah, and we get a lot of support from professors for sure.
Yeah.
Not only coming to the games, but then talking to us in the classroom later that week, or they're very aware of what we're doing, and the whole Wolverines Together isn't just about the sports teams together, but it's all of us in the classroom and on the courts and on the fields. It's a really awesome feeling on campus. It's a big family for sure. AP, what do you think on labs? So you had to miss a few labs, and what Dr. Paz was talking about there. How do you handle on the students' end with that?
Yeah, just like Dr. Paz said, trying to find one that fits in the schedule before the game or event that happens, and usually seems to work out because of at least our schedules, how the games work on Wednesdays, and labs seem to fall on Thursdays and Tuesdays. So it usually works out, but just planning ahead and making sure you're looking ahead and realizing you have a game and talking to professors to figure out schedules.
Yeah, yeah. I think you can see that, Dr. Paz, that we really work hard at trying to communicate with you and trying to, as a professor, is trying to really make sure that you are informed. You know, we like to make sure, and we like to inform you because we're going to miss the class, but also we like to inform you because we want you at the games. So it's
Exactly.
twofold. It's twofold.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I
for
always
sure.
appreciate, at the beginning of every semester, I get a letter from each student athlete that says, here are the games that might conflict with this class, so that right up front when the students are going to be missing. A lot of times they don't actually end up missing because the
Right.
games are later in the evening and it just happens to be on the same day. But yeah, I always appreciate that, having that schedule
Yeah.
on hand so that I can know when to go to games too.
If Dr. Paz has any advice for incoming freshmen on study habits, test taking skills, anything for the transition into college.
Sure. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just kind of building off of what Coach Fuss just said, and that is approach your professors. Don't be intimidated by your professors, but approach them, introduce yourself, get to know them. And I think it just creates such a synergy between the professor and the student once we get to that point where we're on a first name basis, or, well, I guess you're not necessarily on a first name basis
Right.
with
But we know who
your
you are.
coaches and your professors, but you're familiar with each other. So I think that's my biggest piece of advice is, you'll probably find yourself in a large class in freshman year, but your biggest benefit is going to be to get to know your professors.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have found in all of the different disciplines that they're just so approachable. They understand. My experience with the professors is they understand who we are. Multifaceted people. We're not just in it for science. We have athletics. We have other wants and likes. We talk a lot in basketball of seeing them as people and not just players. So person over player is our talk. I think Grove City does such a great job in the classroom with that too, is seeing them as people, not just students that need to get a grade. And honestly, Dr. Paz, I think you're one of the best at it. So, yeah, you're very special to us, and we just really we're honored that you want to talk to us, and thanks for sharing some information with us.
Yeah, I'll just say I love what I do, and I love getting to know students, and not only in the classroom but outside the classroom as well. So it's important for me to see you out on the court, out in the field, and sharing meals together, whether that's in the cafeteria or at professors' houses.
That happens a lot more than what maybe people think. The professors
Yeah.
really do want that, which is really cool. It's not just a job. It's not just you guys punch in and punch out. You really do. It's a calling, and you want to have a relationship with the ladies on the basketball team, but the students in general, for their 4 years that they're there. So